Welcome to Fran's Friends. It is getting closer to Easter, and I have a couple of very simple little tricks that you can do to make your Easter a little more festive. I was emptying the dishwasher the other day, and I was emptying out a plastic container of margarine and decided, oh wow, I could use that to make an Easter basket. So what I use is I'll use things like yogurt containers that are plastic. This is a container for my cream cheese, just a small one. And what I normally will do is I'll cut off the rim of the container, because otherwise it's hard to cut through, because you'll be cutting lines in the plastic all the way around to do your weaving. So in this particular one, I took off the top portion, and then what I did was I went around, all the way around, evenly marking 1/2 inch. And then what I did was I would go all the way around, and then I would start with any simple wool, and I usually like to use wools that are a little bit more fluffy because they'll give you a little bit better texture for a basket. And then what you do is you just weave every second strip. Go all the way around, and then what you would do is you come back around again and then in and out. So this one this one would go in this way, and then your next one would cover. So you go all the way around, always going into the next one and around into the next one and so forth. So it's a little fiddly, but it's not very time consuming because it does build very rapidly. And this particular little one could be a little bed or a cradle for teddy bear, or miniature rabbit. But lots of fun that you can have with just ordinary old plastic containers. I think this one in particular was a margarine container, and in this one I didn't cut it all the way down to the base. I only cut it down to about 1 inch from the bottom. That way you've got a base, and then you can push out your flaps to give you an opening for your basket. So this particular one I did last year. What I did was I finished it off, and I just put a little bit of trim around, rickrack trim, and I made a handle out of felt with a button on the side, and then my usual standard signature with the heart, and then I just made a little felt carrot that I did some top stitching with my blanket stitch. So then what you want to do is, okay, you've got that made, you want to fill it. And normally people fill these things with chocolate, but I can't keep enough chocolate in the basket because it goes so quickly. So what I did was I went online and I found a nice little pattern for a rabbit. Now, you won't believe this one, but this is made of dish rag fabric. It was sort of like a micro fabric. Does nothing for picking up anything off a counter, but I like the color and I didn't want to waste them, so I used them to make a whole bunch of little rabbits. I've got this one here in a lime green, and then lime green, and then this one in the pinks, and then I've got blue, orange, and purple. And what I did was, this pattern was from a lady or a group it's called Moth Arts, and they show you how to just fold these little dish rags into the form of the rabbit. And what I did was I made extra outline of a little rabbit head, and then I put the lace trim on it, gathered lace trim, and then a bow and a button, and then made another little carrot, a little bit smaller than the carrot for the basket. And then what I've done is, as I finished them off, I just put them inside the basket. So these are the ones that I've done. There's the orange one. And then you sort of arrange them so you've got them all outlined as an Easter project. Here's the purple one, and then again, that one can go in. So as you're filling your basket, I slip them in, arrange them. Takes a little while to get them nicely arranged. And then this is basically what you'll have, is an Easter basket full of rabbits. So, and that probably, well, I think the claws were $1.50 at the dollar store, and the margarine container was whatever you paid for margarine. So it worked out quite cute, and I was pleased with it. And that sits on my hearth in my dining room. Now, the second one I did, as I was emptying out that dishwasher and the margarine container, it's got a bigger bevel to it. And what I did with this one is, again, I cut off the top lid, and then I cut it all the way down to the bottom. And then what I did was, this is the weaving on it, all the way around and around and around. And each time you go around, push the wool down as hard as you can so that there's no spaces in between. And I love the color of that with the purples and the Easter colors. Then what I did was I put a base on the bottom just to make it a little tidier. And then I put the ruffle on, and then I put a band on the ruffle, and then just tucked the band on the inside of the plastic and glued it down. So what I did then was I made the handles, but I lined the sides with felt. You can see the sides lined with the felt. And then I took a CD disc and covered it. And the tutorials for doing all those types of things are on my website. And then glued it in, and then put my handles on and a few bubbles and, and hearts. And then what I did was, okay, on this one, how am I going to fill it? So I took my quilted fabric, made it into a shape of an egg, and did my blanket stitch around the edge. And then I stuffed it with polyester filling. And then I just finished off the top, put a little bow on the top and a button, and it's all set to go into the basket. The other thing I did, which I found on the internet, was somebody was making needle felted eggs. And I had some purple needle felting, and I thought, and I could use some of the wool from the actual basket, and I needle felted the purple in. And all this is just a styrofoam egg, from any old dollar store. And I needle felted and needle felted. It takes a little while to do. And then I just gently inserted the wool in and needle felted the wool into a design. So that goes into the basket. I did another one, but with this one, I used just polyester fiber as the needle felting fabric. And I already had these little egg things in my storage container. And again, I put the wool around and just needle felted the wool into the styrofoam. So that was kind of cute. And then the last one I did was I used purple needle felting fabric, and then the wool, and then I used different colors like the white and then a pink, and then I just used some of the wool that I used in the basket to go around to give him a little bit more definition. And then again, on the top, my little bow with my heart. So it ties the basket in together, and very, very inexpensive to do, and a lot of fun. So this will go with this year's little Easter set for my table decor. And as you can see, I'm going to give you little snippets of some of the things I've done, and how when you're doing a project, you could tie all the pieces together by using bits of the fabric on each of the pieces that you make. So there you go. It's something, and I think I'll even do this one over the next hour or two and just sit and play with it and just go all the way. I haven't cut all these ones around, but I'll do that, and then I'll just make it and make a little blue basket. So there you go. It's something fun, something a little bit different, and ties into things that you can do. So I really did enjoy making these silly little, dish rag bunnies, and even on the back, I just put a little pom-pom for a tail. So again, something a little different, something to have some interesting times with. And so enjoy, try it. Don't waste any of these containers. And the other thing I do with these lovely little containers, because my husband uses them a lot, with the smoothies in the morning, is I use it when I'm sewing. Every time I cut a thread, it goes into the bucket. Every time I cut a piece of fabric and it's sitting on my counter, it goes into the bucket. So at the end of the day, I empty my container. I'm partially cleaned up my sewing room, and it works like a charm. So all kinds of uses other than just eating food out of them and throwing them out, but to recycle them. Now, I'll let you go on this one, and thanks for watching. Take care.